It started out as an interest in nutrition, and I was interested in how food affects the body, what we should be eating, what we actually eat. And then it got a little deeper, My research and my conversations naturally kind of flowed towards this idea of agriculture and new sorts of farming and new sorts of finding different sources of food. And then urban agriculture just makes the most sense, right? Something like a vast percentage of the world's population is going to be in cities within the next 50 years, so we have to find a way to feed everybody.
We wanted to expose students to sustainable methods for producing food, so we wanted them to learn a bit more about where their food comes from and how people, particularly in urban areas, have been taking measures to produce food in a more sustainable manner, and I guess what is a more traditional manner, really, as opposed to a lot of food production in the modern era. But we wanted to show them how a lot of people, even in urban areas, so outside of rural areas where space is a little more abundant, how people have managed to bring a lot of the same ideas in farming into an urban area to produce food in a sustainable manner. So.
In a post-industrial city, you have all these abandoned spaces that can be purchased very cheaply because, farming's expensive, and people who want to start farming don't generally have very deep pockets. So I knew I wanted to find a post-industrial city, and then Kansas City was just the most obliging. The people that cultivate Kansas City, who organize all the local and organic farms in the area and provide services to people interested in farming, were wonderful and completely helpful and, like I said, most obliging in letting us stay.
So the idea was to go work with a larger organization called Cultivate Kansas City, and they have several different projects, but the larger organization, the basic goal is to help people get access to fresh, healthy, organic vegetables. So that can show up as their own organic farm that they train people at. Apprentice farmers can come in and learn organic farming practices. They do workshops for people in communities. They also help support community gardens, especially in low-income neighborhoods. And then they have a training program at a training farm where they can train, particularly they train a lot of refugees who come to Kansas City to develop their own farm and then be able to sell their own produce at farmers markets.
The students were involved with the production of the food firsthand. They harvested and helped maintain the gardens that we visited, so they got to see from a firsthand perspective what's involved with producing this food. And then when we got back, we cooked it and ate it. So they saw, literally from, the point that we harvested the food to the point that we cooked it and ate it. And I think this helped spur a lot of really good discussions during our reflection periods. And it was clear to me that the students were really broadening their perspective through this trip and seeing a new perspective on where their food comes from and the impact they make when they make these choices as consumers.
Urban farming is one of those issues that, unless you know about it, it doesn't sound very interesting. But once you start talking to people, once you visit a farm, once you eat a meal that you dug out of the ground a couple hours ago, there's no turning back. You're rooted, you're interested, and you're engaged, and it's important to you.
So the Alternative Spring Break program will be working with Toledo's Pet Bowl project this year, and the project works with at-risk youth to do education and prevention for animal abuse, dog fighting, and the stigma surrounding the pit bull breed. The students who choose to go on the trip will actually be working with the educational program. We're going to be going into the schools and working with kids. There's also some training in the park that we'll be doing with some animals. Our application deadline is going to be November 12th at 11:59 p.m. And there's also going to be an info session at the Ivy Room on November 7th from 4 to 5 p.m.